Fawn Annan, CEO of ITWC and producer of President to President. Welcome to our latest episode with Denis Gaudreault, Country Manager for Intel Canada. Denis has had a tremendous career with Intel, which we're going to discover together. Welcome, Denis.
Thank you, Fawn. Thank you so much for having me. Really appreciate it.
Well, thank you for joining us on President to President. You've had such a tremendous tenure at Intel. Can you share your professional path and highlights for our audience?
Yeah, absolutely. So basically, I did graduate from university in '93. And from there, I worked for about 2 years in a plastic company as program manager. And after that, for 5 years, I had my own business. So basically doing integration. So that was like 95 to early 2000s. That was as you recall, the beginning of the internet, the beginning of Ethernet as a networking protocol, and the Y2K. So I was basically in my hometown. I'm from north of Quebec in Chicoutimi. So I was kind of building PCs and installing network. And that's really where I get into networking a lot. So with all the Cisco certifications and doing installation. And after 5 years, I came a little bit of tired of running my own business with everything that goes with it. And about the same time, an opportunity came to me for Intel. That was summer 2000. Intel was looking for a system engineer, basically a specialist for installing high-end gear for network, like switch, routers, firewall, because at that time Intel had a full product line of product. And finally, so in September 2000, I joined Intel. So as a system engineer, my family and we moved to Montreal at that time. So that's kind of where I started with Intel. And I did that role for about 5 years. And after that, for another 5 years, I was a technical speaker for Intel, basically. So across all the North America, I was doing all those big events as a speaker. So talking about all the Intel product portfolio technology that we have, it's different events that we have with the ecosystem and the industry. So that was great. And during those 10 years, I just had two roles, basically at Intel. And I did, I would say, apply probably to 15 different roles within the organization, and I got none of them. And that was kind of a big highlight for me at one point, which is I would say, late 2009, early 2010. I say okay, what I've been doing on my entire life or professional life, working super hard and who I am. So obviously it's not working anymore. So I need to change something because I was delivering on all the expectation, everything was good, but I was not I was very frustrated, right? Not getting where I want to go with the ambition I had and what I want to do. And I was is it because my English is not that great? I'm based in Montreal because I was not really able to move because of my, I would say some challenge with my family. So I was kind of, I won't say stuck, but I need to stay in Montreal. So I was very frustrated. And what I did at that time, I stayed at Intel, but I started to teach at university, kind of keep that passion and energy, right? Because I feel I was not getting where I want to be within Intel, but I still want to stay with the organization. And what I did, I stepped back and I really start to ask more questions, look down on myself. So what's not working? What are my strengths, my weakness? Ask a lot of questions, read a lot of books, and really kind of transform myself, right? And I learned a lot of stuff, basically. And during, I would say, the few years after that, everything started to really unfold, where I really changed how I was behaving and how I was seeing things. From there, basically, I moved to be what we call an account executive, calling on the government and large enterprise in Canada. And I also I did that for 3 years. And during those years, I start to do, because at Intel, we have some rotational programs because I was not willing to move my family. But I was okay to go work somewhere else for 4 to 6 months. So for a couple of years, I had the chance to travel the world, meet with government from all around the world. So on where they are on the digital transformations, how we can help them. And from there, I became a couple of years ago country manager for Canada. And at the same time, so we had a reorg, so keep doing the Canada, I would say, a leadership role, but also I was managing the enterprise and government business for emerging Latin America, which is all Latin America except Brazil and Mexico.
So I've read recently that there are 4 superpowers that drive the company's business. I believe that all comes under your IDM 2.0 strategy. Do you want to elaborate on that for us?
So traditionally, Intel, we have been an integrated design manufacturer. So basically, all our global factory that we have around the world, we're building product and technology for our own use for our customers, right? With IDM 2.0, what Pat is doing is basically say, hey, we're gonna still pushing and developing our global network of foundry and factory around the world. But on top of that, we will, if needed, we'll use other foundry. So if they have better technology or we need more capacity. And the third element is the launch of IFS, Intel Foundry Services. So for the first time, we say we're gonna open up our foundry and factory and also our IP, intellectual property, to other customers that would love to use our process or factory, but also in their IP. And this is a big change, and it's why we see all those investments that Intel announced in the past few months, right? So it's ready to build that capability that we can offer to all customers around the world. So not just building our own product, but building product for others, even competitor, but also using our IP within the product.
Interesting. Well, of course, today, cloud to edge infrastructure is big. It's relying on multi-cloud and hybrid cloud environments. What deployment options do you offer through Intel?
Yeah, good point. So when you look at the cloud to edge, at the end of the day, it's like the right data at the right place and at the right time, right? So like with all that movement of cloud, that creating that agility and flexibility, and that you can scale, so that computing power all over the place. Now we'll figure out there's so much data that is creating, and so much of that data has so much gravity, it's so heavy, and so much is created that with that edge computing, it can be at the edge closer to where it need to be processed, and that we get all the insight to where it can be go in the cloud, right? With that, so we need to kind of expand or a cloud offering, or I would say architecture, right? Like you mentioned, right? So what is the hybrid cloud, on-premise, off-premise, so public, private, multi-cloud. So in Intel, our role in that cloud infrastructure is, as you it's like the building block of the cloud infrastructure, because everything is running from semiconductor at the foundation of that.
So I think you kind of answered my third question, was on pervasive computing, about unifying the technologies and data. It sounds like you have that full ecosystem, and that's what you deploy.
Yeah, so basically everyone and everything connected, and with all that data that is created and that need to be computed, moved, and stored and everything, so you need a lot of bandwidth, right? And low latency, whether it is wire or wireless. So we're deeply involved with everything 5G, 6G, because massive transformation in this world, but also I would say on the wire space with our silicon photonic, so and all the different protocols and encryptions and compression that goes with that. So, and what we see in that world is, like I said, so it's a little bit same thing that we saw in the data centers, is basically that move to a more dynamic and software defined network, instead of having fixed function in a network. Let's say you have a box. Let's say it's the Friday game for the Stanley Cup. Everybody wants to watch the game on their cell phone, and you need a lot of compression and decompression of video file, right? So now if you're using a traditional network, not a 5G, so you have fixed function box that will do that. And if more people connect, you need more of those box. But when you're done with the broadcasting of that show, so those box are sitting around doing nothing other than compression and decompression, right, of video. So, but with the move to more x86 standard-based hardware, fully virtualized with Open RAN, vRAN, what they can do is just a software workload that do all-line computation, because the standard Intel CPU will do that. And when that's done, you can use that computing cycle to do something else.
And then, of course, there's AI. What's your vision around AI?
So AI is super interesting, right? So it's basically how you turn data into a great insight, and I should say actionable insight. So I would say we infuse AI technology across all our portfolio. So whether it is the CPU, your Core i5 or i7 that you use on the laptop, so you have AI instruction built in on those microprocessor to give you remove the background, so have better remove all the background sound. So when you do a search or something, so there's already AI infused in that when the software community is creating new software, so they can use those accelerators built in on the CPU. Same thing on the Xeon for the data centers. So we have a full suite of product from, like I say, entry level on the client to in the data center, or accelerator for, let's say, for the labs or the people who are creating those model of AI, so that they can train those model, use inference. So we have, it goes, like I say, from Core i5 to OpenVINO to Xeon to Gaudi to Goya to the upcoming Ponte Vecchio, so like our own GPU full educator for training, so that will be launched soon. So that's all the our involvement, but for us it's across our entire portfolio that we're infusing AI technology.
Interesting. What's your priorities as Canada's country manager?
Basically, it's really what we want. Priority number one is we want to empower our customers, our partners, and the full ecosystem, because for us a customer can be, let's say, a big bank or a government, but it's all the partners that do that enablement, but also all the ecosystem, an ISV, an hyperscaler, and OEMs that all use our technology, right? We really want to empower them to accelerate the digital transformation in Canada, ready for the economic success of Canada. That's super important, right? It's from a business point of view. When we look at our role, right, what we want to do is increase Intel Canada, I would say, contribution within Intel. So it's accelerate digital transformation through our customer partner ecosystems, increase our contribution within Intel and within Canada as Intel organization, and grow our people and team so that they can execute and drive the transformation of the organization.
So how would you describe Intel's culture?
But I would say the Intel Canada culture, first, super people oriented, right? So basically, especially with the COVID and the pandemic, so we want people to be all in. That means we have to take care of them from a personal point of view and from a professional point of view. So they're not employees, they're people, and we want them all in, and we want to take care of them from a head and heart. The model we put in place, at least for the Canada team, is like what I call people in place, like it's really people driven, not employee driven. And we want to make sure that they are valued and they're at their best, right? Head and heart, and they can give us their best. And also a place where they feel super safe, want people to be super, they feel the trust and they're not afraid to speak up and say what's not working, because we don't have time to do politics. We need to move and get to the issue and move forward, right? So that's what we're trying to build as an organization. We're a lot of based on very empathy, transparency, a lot of humility, right? So all in together and trying to help each other, right? So that's a little bit what we're trying to put, and I believe that's what we put as an organization.
Well, I can tell you that through this interview, your authenticity is screaming through, which is absolutely wonderful. It's wonderful. How did you manage while working through the 2.5 years of the pandemic with your staff?
Yeah, so that's, I would say the first thing I should say is, from a technology point of view, was no issue for us, right? So because we were already, I would say, a lot of us were working remotely, so there was no issue as far how putting in structures, enabling people working from laptop. So we didn't have that challenge like that many of our customers had, right? So that was the first thing. The second thing is, it was all about the people, like I said, right? So people making sure that they were safe, everything was good, that they feel that we're making every decision, everything that they feel good. And people were they were giving it 100-fold, because people worked so hard during the pandemic. Like, I don't know, like most organizations, I don't know when people work from home. Like people work more than ever, like during the pandemic.
So over the next year, what does success look like for you?
Success is I would say, it's pretty simple, right? So we need to deliver on what the corporation is expecting from us from a business point of view, right? So after that, I want to make sure that we increase Intel Canada relevance within Intel and within Canada, right? And the third thing is, I want to make sure that all my people are growing and they feel that they are in a safe, in the right place, and they're at their best. So, and that's basically, if I achieve that, we're goal. And the last thing, which I keep saying to my team all the time and everyone, is like, you really have to take care of yourself. So things are going super crazy. So we're on I would say, a challenging time. And if you don't take care of yourself first, you won't be able to take care first of your loved one, and you won't be able to take care of your team and the people that are around you.
Great advice. Absolutely great advice. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed this interview.
Thank you, Fawn.